crazy that on the same day that this happens, his defensive coordinator, one of his great football friends, going back to Cleveland days in the early 90s, Nick Saban announces his retirement from Alabama. 7 national championships, 6 at Alabama, the 1 at LSU. Second highest win percentage of any Power 5 coach in history with over 200 wins. Can you name number 1? You
Tom
should
Osborne.
be able to.
Tom Osborne.
Yep.
Respect on his name.
Yeah.
Go Big Red.
So,
Gerber.
Dude, you were texting us on our O-line committee group text thread. The first thing was like, holy crap, Nick Saban's retiring. And then the second thing you texted was, this is about to get crazy because
open
30-day window for transfer portal, right? So what's going to happen?
First of all, I think Saban is sick and tired and done with the NIL bullshit. I don't think he likes it at all. I don't think he likes where the sport is headed. And I think he understands now that the competitive advantage that he had being Alabama, and where it was easy enough to just walk into a recruit's house and say, I am Nick Saban. There has not been a class that I have coached that has not gone 4 years and not won a national title. You will come to Alabama. You will start for 3 to 4 years, and you will go to the NFL and be a top 1 or day 2 pick. Sold. Done.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that was his recruiting pitch, and that's all he had to do year in and year out. And now he's older. And now there's money involved. Now there's the transfer portal involved. NIL. He hates it. I think he honestly cannot stand it.
Because you can't plan for anything. Like in the NFL, in the NFL, you can plan more than. Yep. I mean, there's injuries and all sorts of stuff, but you know where you're drafting. You know that if you're drafting here, you're going to get this player, and then you can free agency. There's structure to it. There's no structure to college football anymore because guys can just come go. Yep. You got to figure out the NIL pool over here, but you can't be directly involved. But you got to make sure that there's NIL money.
Yep,
it would be a headache.
The machine that was Alabama football, which was just revolutions, right? No reloads, only it was never rebuild, only reload, right? You just constantly kept putting new players in. It doesn't exist anymore, and Saban sees the writing on the wall, and he doesn't want to be a part of it. And so I think that played a huge factor into him getting out of the game, him getting out of what this is going to be. I saw a couple things on the internet about maybe his wife was sick, and if that's the case, then that's really sad. But like that was nothing like sourced correctly. But I think that whole thing is just him being done with what college football is. I think we're going to see most old coaches like that do the same thing. I think it might be one of the main reasons Harbaugh leaves college football, if he does, because of that exact same thing. Because it is just the Wild West, and no one really wants to deal with it anymore. But yeah, I talked to you guys about there's a rule now. The transfer window is now closed. The transfer portal window is closed, right? From Jan 4th or December 4th to Jan 4th, the transfer portal is open. It's closed now. The rule is if your coach retires, gets fired, or leaves for a new job, bing, 30-day window, right back open. Open season, baby. So you talk about a roster that's about to get picked clean, unless Bama has like a very quick succession plan, right? Like, hey, no one worry, no one panic. It's fine. I know Daddy Saban's leaving. It's okay. Here's our new guy. Here's the guy we're bringing in. Here's the dude. Those dudes are gone.
It's like the purge, dude. It's like
100%.
Okay. Yeah.
Dude, now imagine this. Imagine Harbaugh leaves this week too, right? Or here the next. You now have Michigan and Alabama. And what if Dan Lanning takes the job from Oregon? Dude, it's going to be chaos because you're talking about some of the top rosters in the country that are going to be complete open season. Picked to the bone, clean open season because of the transfer portal rules. If anything's going to change the transfer portal rules, it could be the next 2 weeks of events.
So do you think, do you think Alabama had, because for all the reasons you just mentioned, it's so important now if a Nick Saban leaves to at least have some sort of heads up and some sort of plan, right? But then some of the options involve complicated buyouts of other coaches. So, but I guess that would be the benefit if you let's say it's so Dan Lanning right now. You mentioned Dan Lanning, Oregon coach. He is the odds-on favorite, just ahead of Dabo Swinney, 3-1 versus 4-1. But couldn't Dan Lanning then just pull like 30 of his stud players from Oregon down to Alabama? Right? Wouldn't that be the
you could? Solution? But then what do all the Alabama players do?
Well, some are going to leave anyways,
dude. So but are you honestly going to tell me that Bama's roster is not as good as Oregon's.
It's a better roster than Oregon's, right?
It's a better roster. So do you bring the Oregon kids with you?
Well, if some of the Alabama kids leave,
But that's the thing. Do they? Like, who do you recruit? Who do you go all in on? Right? Who do you start saying, I want to keep these kids, or I want to bring these kids, or this is an unprecedented event of a coach leaving a powerhouse, right? Not because he got fired, not because like he went from a lower level to a higher level. Like, this dude's the top. He's in the college football playoff, and he just says, I wash my hands. I walk away. Like,
and he's walking away from what?
Fascinating thing.
20, 15, 20.
A lot of money.
A lot of money.
A lot of money. A lot of money.
Okay, I want to give you the 7 likeliest names according to just one website that I stumbled into here, and then I do have some reckless speculation on this too.
I do too. I love reckless speculation. I've been thinking about it all day. Oh,
honey, what are you doing? Shh, I'm recklessly speculating. Don't talk
Gears
to me.
Gears are turning. Gears are moving.
So Dan Lanning is the odds-on favorite, and then in order it goes Dabo Swinney, Lane Kiffin. I'll read these and you pluck a couple and tell me. Deion Sanders. Okay. Kalen DeBoer, Pat Shurmur. He was one of your, wasn't he one of you?
Yeah, he's my OC in Minnesota.
And then Urban Meyer.
Train wreck if that happens.
You think so?
Train wreck. Oh,
in college?
Train wreck. Dude, he's got too much baggage.
But he wins.
Dude.
And he won 2 titles in the SEC.
When's the last time he did that? That's a long time ago.
Well, that was like 15 years ago in college.
I also think there's something to be said about a coach that hasn't been really involved in the NIL world.
Yeah.
Now jumping in and being like, what's happening? What do you mean we pay these idiots legally now? Right? Like, you're in Florida, dude.
Yeah, he gets
you remember how to pay players, but you have to remember how to pay them legally now. Like, I think, dude, the Deion one for me is the most fascinating. I said this when Deion hired at Colorado. I was like, Saban 3-4 years retires, and then Deion moves down there and brings the prime effect with him.
Wow.
I think if Deion had a winning season this year, if he was an 8-win team, right? He just did better than what he did and how he finished the year. I mean, they only signed like 3 recruits. But if he was an 8 to 9 win coach, I think it's a no-brainer. I think it's an absolutely no-brainer. If you're in Tuscaloosa, you bring Deion to run the show. Right? But I think because of the issues that did arise towards the end of the year, that's probably not as likely.
Because you want to see if he can. We know that he can. We know that he can market. We know that we want to see if you, in the Power 5 structure, can you win more than?
Can you win?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, can you win? Like, you're Alabama, dude. There's no Alabama fans are not going to tolerate a 5-loss season. Like their heads will explode. Right? They just can't handle it. I like Kiffin personally. I think if I was a guy, I'm hiring Kiffin. His only losses were Georgia and Alabama last year, I recall.
11-2. Yeah, they were 11-2.
Now he's played ping pong and bounced around the SEC a little bit, and he's kind of a wild card too. But he knows how to win in the SEC. He knows how to recruit in the SEC. He knows how to play the game. He, for me, makes a lot of sense. Dan Lanning, I feel like he might come in there and bite off a little more than he can chew. Yeah. Like, I feel like you might be throwing him to the wolves slightly of being like, hey, see these big-ass shoes known as Nick Saban? Good luck. Right? Like, I know you wanted Oregon. Cool. That was great. Welcome to big boy football.
And he did.
Right?
I mean, in fairness, too, to Dan Lanning, he did spend, 3 or 4 years under Kirby Smart as a position coach and coordinator at Georgia.
Not the same, dude. You're talking about Bama. Roll motherfucking Tide, Alabama, dude. You think he's ready for that? I don't know if anyone's ready for that.
Kiffin of all these options, Kiffin is.
He's the only one that I think would be like, all the crap aside, I think he understands out of all those coaches. Maybe he's Dabo, but I don't think Dabo's ready. Clemson. I don't think Dabo's going to leave Clemson personally. I think he loves Clemson. I think he loves that whole place. I think he stays. I think out of all that list you said, he's the only one, in my opinion, that truly understands the gravity of the situation that is Alabama football. Like, and that is going to be a huge piece of who they hire as their next head coach.
Yeah.
Like, not just the X's and O's, but like, you have to understand what that means to that entire state.
So these next 30, is the window open now? Like the 30-day window?
If it's official, whenever it's
there
official.
has to be some paperwork filed or something.
Probably.
Sure,
yeah.
right?
I mean, it can't. I think it has to be like official. I don't know if it's officially gone yet, but I mean, I already saw last night their 5-star wide receiver decommitted. He's back on the market. Like it's gonna be crazy, dude.
And you could do that. You could enter the portal. Oh, they hired Lane Kiffin. I love Lane Kiffin. Then you could just go back, right?
Yep. You can just go back. You just pull your name out of it.
Looking at
but dude, you put your name in there and start seeing what dollar signs start popping up too. Yeah. Right? Like I think about like their left tackle this year. He was a true freshman. True freshman left tackle for Alabama. You can stay, or do you want to see what kind of money's out there for you? Right? Because you were happy to stay there and be the starting left tackle at Alabama for the next 4 years. But like now it's like, what's keeping
$2 million somewhere?
What's keeping me here? Yeah. Dude, it's going to be a fascinating thought experiment. And with Harbaugh's decision and future still looming around out there, like the landscape of the coaching world in the last 72 hours has been rocked and shaken, and
it's a blast, man.
It's crazy. It's the craziest I can remember. I mean, and we didn't even touch about it, but I think Mike Vrabel's the next head coach of the Patriots. I meant to put that out there. Stamp on it.
No, it makes sense. It makes sense. It's the safest hire because it's a known entity. He's been a winner. He's got the Patriots culture, Patriots way. It is the safest hire for the Patriots.
I don't know. It's here's
some reckless.
What's your reckless? Give me your reckless on Bama.
It's kind of combined it's not even Bama speculation. It's combined Saban and Belichick speculation. Do you think those guys? I'm sure those guys are sitting down over a glass of wine or whiskey or whatever. They're probably red wine. Those guys seem like they're probably heart conscious in their 70s. Red wine guys.
Absolutely.
Do you think they'd like to get the band back together for 2 or 3 years? It could be a Belichick. This is NFL, obviously.
Yes.
Belichick wants to still run personnel. Maybe Belichick does the Bill Parcells thing, goes up to the front office. I wouldn't want Bill Belichick running my front office based on his personnel moves, but there's going to be some teams that would probably give that power. And then Nick Saban comes in. I think the one thing that Nick Saban probably still thinks about in his legendary coaching career is, man, I was a defensive coordinator under Belichick, and then I went on, did my thing at Michigan State, LSU, came back to the NFL, 2 years with the Dolphins. It's viewed as a train wreck unfairly. We were about to get Drew Brees because his shoulder was kind of a mess. He was leaving San Diego, and we were going to get Drew Brees in Miami. And instead, either like the front office vetoed it or the medical something, and he winds up going to the Saints. And we know what happened for the next 15 years. Saints go on, win a championship. And Nick Saban said, screw this, I'm going back to college, right? Mm-hmm. Is that the only unchecked box? Is there an itch for even 3 years? Would Nick Saban go and take a head? Could those guys team up, Belichick, Saban, and run an NFL team? The Falcons.
They could. I just don't know. It all just comes down to, is Saban just tired? Right? I think capability-wise, yes, 100%.
He looks less tired than Bill.
He does. He looks, because he hasn't had to do anything for the last decades besides walk into a house and be like, I am Nick Saban. You come to Bama? Yes, you come to Bama. Here's
Sounds
money.
good.
We go play. Right? But I think, I don't know how much Saban, and again, this is me. I'm speaking out of my ass here. I don't know how much X's and O's he does on a daily basis. I honestly don't know how involved in a game plan or involved in a prep Saban truly was. And if he still really was involved in the defensive game plan and putting it all together in the film, then yeah, he could absolutely go be a defense coordinator for Bill Belichick and have a great time with it. Mm-hmm. But if he just wants to, I think he's going to go be an analyst. He's going to, or a talking head, right? Like Lee Corso, love you, buddy. You're getting old. Probably time to hang it up. Just input Nick Saban on the college game.
And McAfee and Saban, they've been doing the weekly thing together all year. There's a relationship there. And I think Saban does have, this will be interesting, if Belichick and Saban, who are two of the most publicly gruff, don't give anything away personalities, if we get 5 years, because they're going to be 80 before you know it. So can we get 5 years of those guys a little more untethered on a pregame show, on a, some sort of panel?
The Affleck commercials make more sense now. Right? Why? Everyone was like, why is Saban doing Affleck? Right? Why is he doing all these? You were cashing in. You were cashing in while you knew the cashing was good. Good for you, Saban.
Belichick never did, right? Belichick did one. He did one a beer commercial a couple years ago.
And you want one more reckless speculation here? We'll end the show with this.
Sure.
If that's it, I think Andy Reid might retire.
Oh my God! Wow, you're just gonna drop that right?
Just gonna drop that. I think because if you start looking at the same thing, why did Andy Reid start doing all the Progressive commercials? Why did Andy Reid start doing all the Allstate commercials?
Dude, wow. Wow.
You want to say that? If I'm going to use that logic for myself, I'm going to say my logic is these dudes cashed in on all these things while they could, while the cash-in was good. Maybe Andy Reid's tired of this shit, too. Maybe Andy Reid, they go a little run. He's like, man, this shit was really cold. That game sucked. I've had enough of this freezing nonsense. Maybe I'm done, too. Maybe I'm done, too.
That would be the premier job in the NFL, right? You get in his prime Patrick Mahomes.
100%.
You get great
Jones.
ownership. Oh,
yeah.
God.
I don't know. Just something that maybe we'll end it with one more giant reckless speculation.
I don't smoke, but I'm gonna turn my mic off and light a cigarette after this. We're gonna have to do more of these emergency podcast sessions here.
Hey, if things happen, we gotta be ready at a moment's notice.
By the way,
all over the place.
I'm gonna track down Booney to tell some Pete Carroll stories here as well. He's just flexing at the gym and training the future generation of offensive linemen. So if you guys could give us a like button click and a subscribe button click here on the O-Line Committee YouTube channel, and also olinecommittee.com for your offensive line lifestyle apparel. He's Jeremiah. I'm Phil. See you guys.